Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, I've got a post here from the Web3 Alert, and so I'm going to go through this. I have got one little caveat in here as well, which I will go through, but very strong post here about Hedera, so let's get into it. They say, central bank ties on HBAR are quietly stacking up. When banks at this level begin stepping in, it's a clear sign that they are getting ready to implement DLT soon. And Hedera being a preferred layer is no coincidence. Real infrastructure testing, real payment rails, real public sector use cases. The pattern is becoming hard to ignore. Hedera sits at the centre of Project Acacia alongside Australia Pay Plus. This is a CBDC focused initiative exploring how digital money could move through national payments infrastructure. And Australia Payments Plus has two key ties here that are worth recognising. First is the fact that they're already testing hashgraph on Hedera and serve as a key council member. But on the other hand, they're also critical to the Australian payments economy. This is because over 70% of all retail payments are handled through Australian Payments Plus. It's no surprise to see them selected for Project Acacia, and for the guys who've been around, you'll probably know that I'm actually saying Acacia right now because I said it wrong on one of my previous videos. It was pretty bad, so if you want to go check that out, feel free to listen to that, but yeah, I've got it right now. Australian Payments Plus is orchestrating both worlds in Project Acacia, as they'll be using hashgraph for a currency interchange service throughout the project. United Kingdom DLT Innovation Challenge. Hedera has been recently selected by the Bank of England for their DLT Innovation Challenge. In short, the challenge aims to test the Bank of England's ability to settle central bank money on a ledger that's externally operated outside of their control. And when talking central bank level trust, few can provide it at the same level Hedera does. This is of course largely thanks to their governance council being fit for real-world trusted deployment. Hedera being the only public DLT selected here says quite a lot given the nature of this challenge. On top of this, we've already seen the hashgraph utilised in the UK for banking operations, as seen by Lloyds Bank with Aberdeen. Sweden, and I'm going to get into this in a second, so I'll state it and then I'm going to give you a little caveat here. Sweden. Is it Sveriges Riksbank? I don't know. Like I've really butchered Acacia before, so I don't know what that's supposed to be. Sveriges Riksbank maybe? CBDC test. This one is subtle but important. In Sweden's CBDC experimentation, Hedera and Algorand were the only public DLT selected. That alone says a lot in regards to how the oldest central bank on earth is viewing the future of DLT. After all, Hedera and Algorand are clearly aligned on the same market sector of DLT. Public networks are usually avoided entirely in these programs. The fact that Hedera and Algorand were selected speaks volumes on the future trajectory of central bank adoption of the blockchain. Okay, so on that one, I do have to just give a little caveat there. That's actually not entirely accurate. So what actually happened here is Hedera and Algorand, they weren't chosen. They were basically used for energy consumption comparisons. Shout out to Not Jack for that, because you kind of gave me the heads up on that, so I appreciate that. So just with that one, we have to kind of just explain that that isn't entirely accurate, and obviously I never want to try and mislead my audience, so just making you aware that that one's not quite right, but the rest is fine. So let's carry on. United States, FedNow via drop. As payment infrastructure begins migrating to a more data-rich format via ISO 222, the payment services are evolving accordingly. Perhaps one of the most anticipated and key ISO 222 migrations is the US Federal Reserve's FedNow system. Seeing that FedNow has selected Drop as a payments integration to support micropayments is a key sign for what may be to come. Drop is a micropayment solution on Hedera that leverages the low latency and high scaling of the hashgraph. The US Federal Reserve clearly sees a role in what Drop can provide to decide on this service integration. Singapore, Novati AUDC. Novati's been deploying their AUD-backed stablecoins on various enterprise-grade DLTs. These range from XRP Ledger to Stellar to XDC Network, a list that Hedera clearly fits into. And that's exactly why Novati has also deployed their AUDC stablecoin onto the hashgraph. Singapore has one of the most progressive digital payments regulators globally. On this, Singapore's digital economy agreement with Australia is a key part of both nations' DLT innovations. Hence why it's so huge seeing AUDC on Hedera being tested by the Monetary Authority Singapore themselves for cross-border payment trials. Not only does it showcase further central bank approval, but it directly plays into said agreement. Ghana, MTech as infrastructure. MTech's work with the Bank of Ghana includes CBDC infrastructure experimentation. This isn't just about issuing digital currency, it's about settlement, identity, compliance, interoperability. As MTech is a full-stack CBDC solution built for central banks, leveraging Hedera consensus and token services, this is certainly one to watch. Ghana has also been one of the more forward nations with regards to CBDC adoption and deployment. And based on their test sandboxes and trials, it's obvious what their preferred choice has become. Put it together. Different continents, different monetary systems, different regulatory regimes, same underlying DLT showing up. Hedera is being treated as neutral enterprise-grade infrastructure. A layer sovereign banks are all seeing as a favourable choice for the future of finance. Central banks don't care for hype or narratives. They care for predictability, governance, performance, and legal clarity. Hedera checks those boxes and more. Wow. So yeah, obviously I've been covering a lot of these things over time, but when you just see it all there just put into one post, really just makes you realize how much stuff is really going on with Hedera, right? And when we're talking CBDCs, look, I've said it before, we may not like the idea of CBDCs, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You've got no choice of what's going to happen or not, to be honest with you. And a clear example of that, to be honest with you, if you guys are in the UK, you'll know this is the whole talk of digital IDs, right? There's been a whole thing where there's a petition coming out to try and go against digital IDs, got over 3 million people signing it, and they went into Parliament, discussed it, got completely embarrassed talking about it, but they've still just rejected the petition. So if they want it to happen, it's going to happen. And at the end of the day, as I always say about this, just to put it simply, I'd rather benefit from this if it's going to happen than bury my head in the sand, right? At the end of the day, if it's something that's going to happen, then I might as well be involved in the technologies that are going to utilize these products, because that's going to help me financially anyway. That's just the way I see it. And so, when you look at it from that perspective, all these countries that you've got doing CBDC testing and trials, etc., it just says a lot, right? It just shows you the level that these banks and these governments look at Hedera for this use case. It shows you the level of where they see Hedera fit for, government use, CBDCs, enterprise, institutional use. And I agree with this post in regards to, the institutions, they don't care about, this community has got this, or this community is saying that, or all the hype. They don't care about none of that. They just want to know, what can this technology do? And if it can do the things that they need it to do, they want it. It's just that simple. If it can do the things that they really need it to do and what they want it to do, they want it. That's as simple as it gets. So at the end of the day, it's not going to be like hype and narratives that's going to get these, cryptos adopted, etc. It's going to be the technology at the end of the day. Can the technology stand up to doing what these companies need it to do? Can it scale? What are the prices going to be like? Are the prices going to fluctuate? Are there going to be outages? Are there going to be failed transactions? These are the types of things that they're going to be thinking about when they're choosing whether to use a network or not. And Hedera ticks the boxes in that regard. It's got all the things that you would want. So at the end of the day, yes, Hedera is clearly one of the obvious choices. I'm not saying it's the only choice, but it's definitely one of the obvious choices and one of the better choices. And again, this is why I say to you guys, when I think long term about Hedera, this kind of stuff, what you see all these types of trials going on, this is showing you the kind of adoption that's going on at the moment. It shows you what people are thinking about Hedera and these companies. They're testing it out. They're seeing what's going on to see if it can live up to, what they need it to do, the expectations. And to me, from what I've seen of Hedera, it should be fine, because I've seen so many different use cases that's been happening. I see no reason why it won't be successful in that regard. The technology is good. This isn't, a hype network. It really can do what it says on the tin. right? It really can live up to those things of what it says it can do. So I think that, this is just showing you that, yeah, like, this is why Hedera is looked at the way it is. And I do agree that there's a lot of stuff going on here. But I will just point out that caveat of that one country. So there was just a bit of misinterpretation here. So just be careful, because again, like, I'm not going to completely knock the whole post because it was only one part. It might have been like an AI thing, not fully verified possibly. I'm not sure, but just be careful because that wasn't entirely accurate. But taking out that one, you still saw a good amount of countries that are using Hedera. And that still speaks volumes, regardless. So I'm not going to completely, discredit this whole post based on one thing, one misunderstanding. At the end of the day, mistakes can happen, regardless, even if it was an AI or not. At the end of the day, like, the rest of the post is still relevant, and it doesn't take away from everything else that Hedera have accomplished. So yeah, real strong post there. But once again, this is why I look at Hedera as one of the better networks. That's my personal choice, and that's my personal opinion. That's my personal perspective. Obviously, whatever you guys believe is up to you. I just show you the content. I just show you what's going on. It's up to you guys to make your decision on what you think. But this is the kind of stuff that gives me confidence. There's so much going on with Hedera. And I just think 2026 coming with like regulations and stuff like that, I just think he's going to break down more walls. So I just think there's way more to come with regards to Hedera in that sense. So really looking forward to what 2026 is going to bring for Hedera. But as you can see, with this kind of stuff going on, this type of adoption, like testing and stuff like that, it's looking very promising, in my opinion. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell. Take care.